The tourists froze. A red Range Rover pulled up right in front of Buckingham Palace, and out jumped Alex Montgomery, the daughter of an American billionaire. Her designer heels clicked on the cobblestones, and a cheeky smile stretched across her lips. "This is your legendary royal guard?" she said mockingly, pointing to a guardsman in a red uniform and a bear hat. The guard did not move. Discipline, years of training. But Alexa was not used to being ignored. She took a step closer, too close. "Hey, statue, can you at least blink?" There was no reaction. The crowd started filming. Her friends were laughing. Then she saw a trash can. The idea was born instantly. If you can't react, let's see what you look like in the trash. She grabbed the trash can and threw it over the guard. The tourists gasped. And then I heard a calm but cold voice. "Apologize." Now, she turned around. Keanu Reeves was standing in front of her. London was going to see the show. A red Range Rover braked sharply outside Buckingham Palace, causing passers-by to mutter in displeasure. The door opened, and Alexa Montgomery stepped onto the sidewalk, tall, tanned, dressed in an impeccable ball-mask suit. Cartier sunglasses pushed defiantly to the tip of her nose. "This is your legendary London?" she grimaced, looking around the crowd of tourists. "Somewhere between these flip-flops and beer bellies, I should see greatness, right?" Behind her, her friends laughed. Three equally rich idlers who had decided to light up Europe with their presence. "Oh, look!" Alexa suddenly exclaimed, her voice echoing throughout the courtyard. She stared at a motionless guardsman in a red uniform and a bear hat. "Is this a wax figure?" she asked mockingly. The guard did not move. "Seriously, he can't even blink?" Alexa waved her hand theatrically in front of his face. The crowd started filming. Her friends giggled. "Come on, Mr. British Discipline. Show some sign of life." No reaction. It was dangerous to ignore Alexa. She was used to being the center of attention. If you don't respond to her, then you are a problem that needs to be solved. She glanced to the side and saw a metal trash can. A smile appeared on her lips, a familiar, dangerous smile. "Well, if you're so emotionless, let's see how the new style suits you." "Alexa, maybe you shouldn't," one of her friends, Tara, muttered uncertainly. "Oh, come on, it's just a joke." She grabbed the urn with both hands, tilted it, and laughingly tipped its contents onto the guard. The tourists gasped. Plastic cups, crumpled papers, cigarette butts, and food remnants fell onto the red uniform. A dark liquid spread over his white gloves. "Wow, look!" Alexa clapped her hands. "Finally something interesting in this city." The guard did not move. The crowd froze. A few people took out their phones, but not for TikTok, but to call the guards. Suddenly, "Apologize." Now, a voice. Deep, calm, but there was steel in it. Alexa turned around. Keanu Reeves stood before her. Alexa blinked, not immediately realizing who he was. A tall man in a dark coat, slightly unshaven, looked at her with a cold, calm gaze. His voice perfectly balanced between restraint and order. "Keanu." "Damn it. Reeves." The crowd around him came to life. Someone whispered, It's him." "Really? My God, this is going to be legendary." The cameras that had been pointed at the humiliated guardsman a moment ago were now focusing on the Hollywood icon. But Alexa was not used to being put in her place. "Apologize," she snorted, lifting her chin. "For what?" "It's just a show." Keanu took a slow breath. "A show?" His eyes slid down to the guardsman, who still had bits of garbage stuck to him. His white gloves were stained with dark spots. And no reaction, just the poise built into the DNA of his service. Alexa pressed her lips together, trying to understand why the whole world was suddenly against her. "Look, Mr. Matrix," she folded her arms across her chest. "I was just having fun. No one was hurt. And anyway, what reason do you have to order me around?" Keanu took a step forward. He was calm, but his presence seemed heavier than tons of steel. "Grounds." He tilted his head. "Do you even realize what you just did? Gave people content? No. You humiliated a man who serves this country." The crowd cheered in approval. Alexa winced, but immediately resumed her defiant expression. "Oh, come on. Stop being so pretentious. He's just a guy in a funny suit. He's just standing here for photos with tourists." Keanu threw back the hem of his coat and calmly crossed his arms. "A guy in a funny costume?" He turned to the crowd. "Did you hear? We have an expert on military service here. She probably knows more than all of us." The tourist laughed, but there was no humor in his voice. Alexa blushed. "I just said. You said that this man was nothing more than a decoration. But you don't even know what this uniform means." Keanu turned his gaze to the guardsman. He didn't budge, even when you humiliated him. "This is discipline. This is honor. It's something you'll probably never understand." The crowd erupted in applause. Alexa felt her universe crack. "You can't. I can. And everyone here can." Keanu took a step closer. "And if you have any dignity, you will apologize right now." Silence. All of London held its breath. Alexa looked around. Cameras were pointed at her. She was losing control. She had to think of something. And she had to think of something fast. Alexa felt her confidence begin to waver. She had always been the master of the situation, always known how to manipulate people. But now she was losing control. "Apologize," she repeated, pursing her lips. "To whom?" "To him." Keanu nodded calmly toward the guardsman, who was still standing still, the debris still sticking to his uniform. Alexa looked at the soldier and felt her inside shrink. The man didn't even blink. He did not radiate anger, resentment, or even humiliation. Only discipline. It was annoying. Her friends stopped laughing. Several tourists around them folded their arms across their chests, their faces filled with disapproval. The cameras were still rolling. The whole world was waiting for her reaction. She must not give in. Alexa lifted her chin sharply, put on her mask of confidence again. "Listen," she said, putting her Cartier glasses back on. "You're all acting like I've done something terrible. It's a joke. Do you seriously want me to bow down to some guard in an old-fashioned suit?" Keanu tilted his head, his eyes narrowed. "You still don't get it, do you?" His voice wasn't angry. It was worse. He sounded deeply disappointed. "This guardian, as you called him, has sworn an oath to protect this country. He is not standing here for your entertainment. And you have no idea what he's been through." Alexa grimaced. "Oh, come on. It's just a tourist attraction. They're here to entertain us." Wrong. Keanu didn't even move, but something in his eyes became as sharp as a razor's edge. "Are you really that blind?" He nodded toward the guard. "He's not just standing there. He's a symbol. These people are not just guarding a building. They are guarding history. They train for years, serve in the army, risk their lives. And you think you can just throw garbage on it like that because you want to make a splash?" The crowd started to cheer again. People started nodding and looking at each other. Alexa felt like she was losing. She clenched her fists. "You're all just obsessed with tradition here. It's not my fault that your country is stuck in the past." She looked at her friends, hoping for support, but they looked away. They didn't want to be a part of this anymore. Alexa swallowed nervously. Keanu was silent. His presence filled the space, pressed down, made her words sound ridiculous. "Okay," she tried to laugh, but it came out fake. "Maybe I went a little overboard. But that doesn't mean I have to. You have to." Keanu took the last step forward. "Apologize. Or live with this moment forever." He slowly looked around the crowd. "Because this will stay with you forever." The cameras. The tourists. A guard standing in the garbage, unmoving. Alexa realized. If she didn't apologize, this moment would be her legacy. Alexa felt her knees go weak. She could still run away, turn around, pretend she didn't care. But she knew the truth. She did care. What was happening now was not just an argument in front of a crowd. This was her biggest public defeat. And Keanu Reeves had just given her a choice: admit guilt or lose what little reputation she had left. Her world was falling apart. "You're all being overly dramatic," she muttered, but her voice betrayed her. It was trembling. "No," Keanu shook his head. "We're just seeing the situation as it is." Alexa pressed her lips together. She looked at her friends again. No one was even looking her in the eye. They had already disowned her. She took a breath. She looked at the guard. He was standing still. His uniform was soiled, but his pride remained untarnished. "Shit," she whispered. And then, for the first time in her life, Alexa lowered her head. The word stuck in her throat. She had never had to say it out loud before. Keanu took his time, didn't push. He just waited. "I am sorry," she finally managed to get out. The crowd froze. The guard did not move, did not blink, did not accept the apology, did not react. The silence became unbearable. "I said I'm sorry." Her voice trembled. "Will you say something?" The guard stood there like a stone statue. She had no power over him. "He won't," Keanu said evenly, without anger, because he's not here to forgive you. That's not his job. Alexa could barely breathe. She felt her stomach twist into a knot. But you made a choice, Keanu said calmly, and now you have to live with the consequences. He stepped aside. You can go. Alexa suddenly realized that no one was laughing. No one was applauding. Even those who had previously supported her antics now looked at her with contempt. It was the worst moment of her life. She gritted her teeth, turned around, and walked away without another word. And when she passed Keanu, he quietly threw her a look. Now you know what true dignity is. Alexa walked quickly, her heels clicking loudly on the cobblestones. She could feel hundreds of eyes staring at her back, the lenses of phones recording her every move. It was her end. She had not only lost control, she had lost respect. Around the corner of the palace, she stopped, clenched her hands into fists, and took a sharp breath. Her friends, who had been laughing with her an hour ago, now stood aside, shifting from foot to foot. Are you guys coming, or what? She said abruptly. Tara, her closest friend, shook her head. I'm sorry, Alexa. We don't want to be a part of this. Part of what? Tara swallowed nervously. Of the whole world hating you. And they left. They just turned around and left her alone. Her phone vibrated in her pocket. She pulled it out and saw a notification. TikTok at London Eye just uploaded a video. When Keanu Reeves put a rich woman in her place, she opened the comments and her heart sank. What a horrible person. I hope they don't let her back into London. How can someone be so stupid? Kudos to the guard and Keanu. It was the perfect punishment. Thousands of comments. Millions of views. Alex Montgomery has just become the most despised person on the internet. Meanwhile, in the square, the guardsman was still standing motionless. His uniform was stained, but his dignity remained untarnished. Keanu silently walked closer. You did well, he said quietly. The guard didn't answer, but Keanu knew it was his victory. And the crowd? The crowd would remember this day for a long time.